marriage is the most important institution. It is the fabric of our society. And it is the building block of our community. So much so that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam says in the hadith, "Ma buniya fil Islam bina ahabbu ila Allah azza wa jal wa a'azzu min at-tazwij." That there is nothing or no construction that is more beloved and more honored and dignified in the eyes of Allah like marriage. Nothing greater than this. And this is what builds a community. And the fact that people are deterring from this is what has caused most of the social issues that we have. And Allah Azza wa Jal has not left this without considering this in our creation. We have a desire and a love for the opposite gender. It's built within, it's there. How often do you have a friend that was your friend once he meets a mate? Once he meets someone that they want to spend the rest of their life with? How often do parents lose a child? That once this child finds their mate, once again, طبعا the original term of mate, meaning their partner, unlike today, mate meaning a pal or a friend, that they leave those that raised them and were dear to them. And sometimes people complain about this. They say, look, this guy used to be my friend and he forgot all about me. But what they do realize, when you find your significant other, as they like to put it, or your spouse, this is what will happen to you. You'll move on with your life because this is natural. It's not only based upon your conjugal rights with them and your marital rights. There's more to that. There is an actual bond between you and your partner. And you will find this in marriage. It's unlike any relationship that someone has before that they are married. Sometimes people are amazed when they see a couple together. They say, how did she marry him? Or how did he marry her? Or she's prettier than him. Or he is better than her socially. How did they end up together? But this is how the bond is formed. And people don't realize how they get together. The problem here is not about getting married. Getting married is only a portion of the difficulty. It's like when someone says, I want to go on a diet, I want to lose weight. The problem's not going on the diet, it's maintaining the diet. And this is why people do the surgeries these days. And even those that have done the surgery, those that have done the, where they've cut their stomach out, or the ones that back in the old days where they used to do the collar, whatever they're called. I don't know exactly what the surgery procedure is called. But the people that did these surgeries, some of them have regained their weight. Because to try and maintain the marriage is difficult. Maintain the weight loss is difficult. Trying to maintain the marriage is also difficult. But Islam, like it stresses on how to get married, it also gives us the method on how to maintain our marriage. Firstly, you need to understand the things that made you get married initially aren't the same things that will continue the marriage. For example, some people, if you look at all people, when you get married, there are a lot of factors that contribute to us getting married. One could be our desire, the fear of loneliness, the want for support, the want for comfort, the want for a progeny, to see our posterity. We want to see children. These are a lot of the driving forces that make us get married. But these things do not suffice for us to keep the marriage. Our problem to begin with when it comes to marriage is we tend to look at it negatively. that everything about marriage has given that negative approach or that negative look. You know, I was outside talking to a guy recently, and I said to him, "You're very negative about everything." And then another guy said, "So what would you call a happy man?" And this same guy, the negatron, the negative guy, turns around and says, "A single guy is a happy man." This is the attitude that they have. A single guy is a happy man. And the same thing with women. You know how they have these parties now? I don't know. You know how every day they have some new fad so they can put on Snapchat and get all excited about? One of the newest fads that's been going around is the divorce party. That when a woman gets divorced, she has a party. That she's been liberated, she's been emancipated. It's like she's just served 10 years in jail and she's acquired her parole and come out and said, "All right, I'm out here. I'm free now," and they have this party. Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, وَجَعَلْنَا بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. That in this bond, Allah will put between us what? Mawadda, and the other thing is rahmah. The mawadda and the rahmah, generally when you see the word mawadda, it's got to do with love and affection. And the rahmah has to do with a certain aspect of mercy, and that is compassion. Compassion is when you feel for others. It's a form of empathy, that you feel for them, that you actually, it ails you to see them hurt or upset or tired, to have this compassion towards them. Some marriages have mawadda, have love. Some have rahmah, they have this compassion. Some have neither, and some have both. But our objective is to have both in order to have a good marriage. A man returns home from work, and you know, when a guy comes home from work, what kind of a state is the guy in? Your husband doesn't have to be someone that works in form work or scaffolding for you to turn around and say this guy has a hard job. Every job belabors people. Every job affects people, whether they're affected physically, whether they're affected mentally. And everyone finds a different job pleasing. When the man returns home and he is tired, the last thing the man wants to encounter is a barrage of nagging. That he is tired, he enters the house, he wants his wife to empathize with him. On the same token, when the man enters the house and he sees his wife and she looks like that she's worn out from all the activity that she's had to do with her children and the housekeeping, the last thing she wants to hear is that you've done nothing today. I worked harder than you. This is the last thing she wants to hear. I know a lot of people may think, well, I'm working harder than the other. In some cases today, a lot of the women today work as well. So not only are they cooking and they're cleaning. I remember we were once working in a house. And this house, the woman that was in the house, she came, she prepared the dinner. She had just come back from work. She had prepared the dinner. She fixed herself in the house and the husband was returning home. Then when I found out what her job was, she was a pediatric oncologist. She was a doctor that was specialized in children's cancer. And then she'd come home and do this. Could you imagine a husband returned home and said, you know, what have you done all day? That feeling, and this is the type of thing that's happening today. A lot of the women today work as well. The problem is, this is where rahmah is not exercised. I don't empathize with what they do. Don't ever say I'm too busy or what I do is more important. In some houses, it's even worse. In some houses, one of the couple is the man and the wife. They do everything. Absolutely everything. And all the other partner waits for is their conjugal rights. And even in that department they fail. But the thing is, in the situation of these relationships, I need to worry about who? I need to worry about what I'm doing. How do I make my marriage into a healthy marriage? The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, sallu ala Nabi Muhammad, entered the house of Fatima salawatullahi alayha. And he saw Fatima tending to the cauldron or the pot, the cooking pot. And he saw Abu al-Hasan, Amir al-Mu'mineen. And just to tell you who Abu al-Hasan is, salawatullah alayhi. Amir al-Mu'mineen, every battle he was in the forefront. Everywhere Rasulullah was, he was there when it came to the revelation coming down. He was involved in every task. Amir al-Mu'mineen, the commander of the faithful. He wasn't someone that had nothing to do. You know what he was doing? He was sifting through the lentils. You ever see when they get the lentils, the adas? He was sifting to see the bad one from the good one. That's what he was sitting and doing. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam enters and sees this sight. Amir al-Mu'mineen is not someone that does nothing all day as well. He's someone that works. When you go to the Hajj and you go to Masjid al-Shajara, what's the other name for Masjid al-Shajara? Abiyara Ali. Why? Because this is where Amir al-Mu'mineen dug wells. He used to work in the day, comes home, and to assist his wife. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam says, it's a long tradition, but of the tradition, he says, a man that assists his wife in any task. Because this is unlike a lot of men. A lot of men walk in, they kick their shoes off, they throw their socks off. They do absolutely nothing in the house. That a man that assists his wife in any task gets the reward of one that has worshipped the nights and fasted the days of an entire year. An entire year. Do you know the only days that I can recall where we might even come close to this? Layal al-Qadr. They're the only days where we might come close to this. For those that worship the nights. For those that have fasted in the days. When we do Laylat al-Qadr, those 3 nights that we keep vigilant in, are the closest we will get to gaining this reward. Assistance in this case. Marriage, don't forget, it's not a game of inches and it's not a war of attrition. It's not that you're looking for their faults. You know, when they say sport is a game of inches, where you actually look where a fault takes place so you can take advantage of it. Or it's not a war of attrition. A war of attrition is where you try to wear your enemy down. You know, World War II was what they called a war of attrition, war of trenches. You wait till your enemy breaks down. It is a marriage. It's not a war. It's not a game. It is a companionship. You give and take. In fact, you sacrifice more. Don't worry about what your partner does. Regardless of what your wife does or what the husband does, it's what I do. It's all about me. What am I doing? What do I put forth in this relationship? When Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam speaks to his son Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah, he says to him, Ahsan as-suhbah, and it's in a wasiyya. It's his commandments to his son. Right at the end, he says, Ahsan as-suhbata laha. What does Ahsan as-suhbata laha? Be a good friend to her. Be a good companion to your wife. Be a friend. The problem with throughout the life, throughout the world, is in a marriage, people used to look at their partner or the wife would look at her husband, the husband would look at the wife as the other person. And in fact, would talk about them as an unknown person. In other words, Lek Shubaddu or Lek Shubadda. Who is she? She's your wife. It's for when someone comes up to their father-in-law and he says, look what your daughter wants. What do you mean, my daughter? She's your wife. When you're saying your daughter, it's like you're disassociating from her. You're pushing her away. You know? You're making a distance between you and your wife. He says, أحسن الصحبة لها ليصفو عيشك. You want a good life. The Imam is telling him, you want a good life? Don't sit there and think to yourself, I'm looking for Mrs. Right. Or the woman saying, I'm looking for Mr. Right. You're not Mr. Right and she's not Mrs. Right. You know, you're not perfect. And you've got 1,000,001 faults. The moment you can't see your faults is when everything falls apart. And likewise, she has 1,000,001 faults too. In order to have a good relationship with her, keep a good companionship with her, where you give and take with one another. Okay. As we move along, how do I maintain this good marriage? There are several factors. The first one is appreciation. And this is relevant with regard to dealing with everyone, not only marriage. To show appreciation to the people that you deal with, whether it is direct or it's indirect. At least show that you appreciate what they do, be it of their duties or not. Yani, someone does something good for you and it's not their duty. Someone, for example, brings a cup of water for me. It's not their duty to bring me a cup of water. I appreciate it. But let's say I've paid this person to bring me water. Even if he does bring me that water, I should show appreciation. Take, for example, in Surah At-Tawbah, Allah Azza wa Jal says to His Messenger, خُذْ مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ what? Sadaqah. Take from their earnings a sadaqah, a charity. Take from them charity. Now when he uses the word khud, he is speaking about obligatory charity. He's not talking about sadaqah as in what you pay when you want to pay to take away troubles or take away trials or tribulations. Now we're talking about actual sadaqah that's under the subject of zakat, or sadaqah that's under the subject of khums. Proper, obligatory, or zakat al-fitra that you pay at the end of Shahr Ramadan al-Mubarak. This is the sadaqah that he's talking about. He says, take from their money, take from their wealth sadaqah. Then he says, listen to the words, تطهرهم وتزكيهم بها. That firstly, tutahhir, that you will purify them. What is he purifying? Purifying their souls. Okay? And not only that, besides the fact he's purifying, what else? When you give sadaqah, what happens? It's returned multifold. It's the best investment you can make. Why? Because this is how you increase your wealth. So not only are you rewarded with the purification of your heart, not only are you rewarded with the increase in wealth, not only are you rewarded with the hereafter and the paradise. So you're getting much more in return, and it's an obligation on you as a Muslim. Then Allah Azza wa Jal says to the Prophet, وَصَلِّ عَلَيْهِمْ. When they pay, صَلِّ عَلَيْهِمْ. صَلِّ عَلَيْهِمْ means to praise them, to bless them. You know, when someone comes and gives you, Barakallah feek, Ajarak Allah. Allah yazidak. You know, when someone you give him money, Allah ya'awad alayk. You know, when they say these nice words, this dua for you. You know, sometimes when you give something to someone, you wait to hear this. This is a thing you wait for someone to do a dua for you. They supplicate for you. وَصَلِّ عَلَيْهِمْ. Supplicate for them. Then Allah Azza wa Jal says, إِنَّ صَلَاتَكَ سَكَنٌ لَهُمْ وَاللَّهُ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ. That your salat is sakan for them. You know, when we call, what do you call your abode? You call it maskan. Why do you call your home a maskan, where you live? This is where you find rest. You know, when you go to a place and there is no home for you, you feel what? You feel heavy. You feel like you're a burdensome. And wherever you're going to go, you're like a burden. But when you reached your home, you feel this sukoon. So when you do dua for them, you give them what? This feeling of tranquility. They're at peace with themselves, even though they're about to do something that they're supposed to do. Even when you have an employee, someone that works for you. If I have an employee, I have someone that works for me. This person that's working for me, when he does his work, or even when you're working, you do a job for somebody, you like when your boss says, good job, mate, well done. You feel good. Even though he's paying you at the end of the week, it's not like you're just going to get well dones and good job. You're going to get paid at the end of the week, but you're happy to hear that. Even if they've paid you a lot. A shopkeeper, that you enter the shop and say, listen, can I get a packet of Chewies? And he turns around and grabs you the extra gum. What do you do when he's just giving you that? All he did was spin around and give you the gum. You say thank you. And you pay him. It's not like you say thank you. Walk out. You pay them. However, why do you thank them? It's not flattery. It's genuinely. You're genuine when you thank them, because if it wasn't for their shop and their corner shop on the side, you'd have to go, God knows where. You'd have to go right into the center of the city to get whatever you wanted. If they did not afford you this service, however, they're getting paid for this service. So when I'm dealing with my spouse, even if my spouse, as in the case of the husband, comes home from work, the woman has to say, Allah ya'tik al-afi. May Allah give you this well-being. Why? He's supposed to provide for his wife, but that shows appreciation. When the wife, but what I'm saying, be genuine. Don't lie. If your wife puts some food in front of you and the food's terrible, don't say, awesome feed. Say, listen, the rice I think overcooked, It's stuck together. Say something. Be genuine when you speak. But if the food tastes good, let her know. Say, this is good. The house is clean. You've done a good job. The house is very clean. These are good things for you to be genuine. But don't say, oh, barakallah fiki, the house is clean and you're tripping over every second obstacle. No. But when they do something, you need to show your appreciation. But today, the problem is, as I mentioned, both parents work. Some parents are moonlighting. They do 2 jobs at once. And the children, inshallah, that's going to be the later discussion about raising children. Our children are where? They've been raised in daycare centers. And God knows what they're being fed in these centers and what they're exposed to. Just to give you an idea, I once went into a preschool to see what they do. They actually have their kids go to the toilet in front of each other. So they make them, this takes away the shame. Child sitting, doesn't matter if it's male or female, but doesn't matter if it's 2 males. For them to sit naked in front of each other, it allows them to feel that this is normal. And then later when they want to play sport in school, everyone that's been educated in a Western school, when you go to PE, how do people shower? They all shower together, they're all naked, and it's all normal. It's all acceptable. Why? Because they've already been trained for this to be normal from preschool. They've been brought up in this manner for preschool. This is the biggest problem that exists there. Even when we send them to these learn to swim programs, when they get changed, they go into those change rooms and they're naked and there's grown men walking past them. I don't know how the women bathrooms operate, but I know how the men bathrooms operate. But the men bathrooms, grown men walking and with no shame whatsoever. And the children are being raised in this manner. The second thing is, after appreciation, is love. But inshallah we'll go over this tomorrow night because we don't have time. What I want to do is tonight, generally the discussion is around the companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. The companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, you might think to yourself, what is the purpose of the Imam saying, is there someone that will aid us or help us? You think to yourself, when his father, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, was the one that said that he's the one that said that I do not feel any greater when I have a lot of numbers around me. I do not feel any safer or stronger. And he said, and I do not feel any weaker if I'm all alone. Because I am righteous and I am with the right. He says, لأني محق والله مع المحق. Because I'm in the right and Allah is with the one that's in the right. So I feel that big in the sense that Allah's with me. So what was the purpose of the companions being with Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam? Of the things that was purposeful is to show us how to deal with our Imam. Us as humans, because these companions were not infallible, firstly. Secondly, these companions, they were, when we say Ansar, they were Ansar in the true meaning of the word, because they came along the way. The majority of them did not leave with Imam Hussein from Mecca. They came along the way and they joined the Imam. And at the last moments, when Zainab alayhi salam, you imagine Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam, the life she had seen her grandfather Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam be betrayed by the ones closest to him, around him. When I say closest to him, within his house and outside his house. Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam had seen the people betray her father and her mother. Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam had seen the people betray Imam al-Hasan and Mujtaba alayhi salam, and even attack his body when he was on his way to be buried. So she said to the Imam, are these people going to leave you like all those before them that did leave you? Will they leave you, Abu Abdullah, on this night? The companions, upon hearing this, they had heard of this from one of the companions. I think Habib ibn Mudahar told them what he had heard. So they came to show this support. Remember, when you need to show, like I mentioned, with appreciation, sometimes you need to show verbally. And these companions were not only there to support with action, they were there to show them as well that verbally, from their mouths, that they are there to support Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Muslim ibn Awsaj said to the Imam, he said, if I was to be killed, then I was brought back to life, then I was to be burnt, then brought back to life, and this was to happen to me 70 times, I would not leave you. Now, the companions did not stop there. They would vie with each other to show their support. Zuhair would then say, if I was to be killed and brought back to life and burnt and be brought back to life, and this was to happen to me 1,000 times, I would not leave you. Why? They want to show how much they supported him. And one of the companions said, if I knew that this world was the end, was eternity, and death was the end. If I die, I no longer exist. But I knew that if I was to live, you were to die. In other words, if I lived on, I would. He says, لَآثَرْتُ الْفَنَاءَ عَلَى الْبَقَاءِ مِنْ بَعْدِكَ يَا أَبَا عَبْدِ. I would rather not exist, cease to exist, than to exist when you're not here. This is the type of loyalty that was there. This is the type of loyalty that stood with the companions, that was with the companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. These were these types of people. For us, we say, يا ليتنا كنا معكم فنفوز فوزا عظيما. But for us, they are symbolic on how we have to be as companions for our master, Imam al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan. How are we supposed to be in this stance? Are we too preoccupied? You will know when you're at work and you need to pray and you delay that prayer. When the Imam comes, when he calls for you, say, I still need to finish this shift. I still need to make that extra dollar. One gentleman, I keep telling him, come to a majlis. He said, I don't close my shop till I make X amount of dollars. I have to make this X amount. And every time you tell him to go somewhere, that's his answer. I need to make this. When the Imam comes out, do you think he'll say, oh no, it's Imam Mehdi, I'll come? No. He will say, I need to make this X amount of dollars. And even on the night of Ashura, Imam Hussein alayhi salam said to the people, he put them in perspective. He said, you don't have to stay. They want my blood. Once they kill me, this is what he said to them, once they kill me, they won't chase you. You'll be free to go. They just want me. And the night is dark. And in this darkness you can flee. There's no street lights out there. They're out in the middle of the desert. You can leave and no one will know if you leave. No one will know. They remained and they began to weep upon hearing this. And then they reassured the Imam again that they would remain with him. Every single one of them would remain and fight. And they were there not just to fight. They were there to die. They were there to be martyred. And this is why we yearn and we wish to be like them. Walhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin.